So Moon Knight has been released, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to 1/6 Figure Focus, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Moon Knight from the Disney Plus Moon Knight figure. It's just been released now, or just a few days ago really. It was expected to ship sometime between July of 2023 of this year and December of this year, so it basically has landed a month. Well, you could actually argue it's landed 7 months early, because of course Sideshow have these what used to be a 3-month window but are now 6-month windows. But look, nonetheless, it's supposed to come anytime between July and December of this year. And yeah, it arrived this week, basically in July. So what are we now, the 21st, or when did this come out? I think this came out 2 days ago maybe. So you're talking, yeah, mid-June, basically 2 weeks early. It's $285 and it comes with the following. So just to remind you there, you've got that kind of diorama base there, the one with the I suppose the moon on it, and of course he comes with a few of these kind of things that he throws around. They're like gold shaped kind of moons, kind of like his versions of batarangs. So you can see the boots, they're not an accessory. Bunch of swap on hands. They're so inconsistent. Hot Toys are so inconsistent with their hands. Like I expect if you have like a left fist, it should be a right fist. If you have a left open, there should be a right open. If there's a left trigger finger, there should be a right trigger finger, realistically. Like I know not always, but I mean it just helps. So here you seem to have a bounty of different hands. I presume there's 10, and then the 2 that it has on doesn't seem to have the fisted ones there. Can't quite see. Yeah, you got the diorama base, that big massive diamond that a lot of people don't like. I'm not a fan of them. I don't tend to use them anyway. I tend to only use bases if I really like the base, if it's like a diorama or something like that, or maybe if I need something levitating. But more often than not, 90% of the time I'm not using bases. That makes no odds to me. It does come with these I don't know what these half moons are called. I know there's a specific word for them. I know Batman would call them batarangs. But obviously this guy in a similar fashion, and this guy Moon Knight has been compared to, or kind of called, Marvel's Batman or whatever. And he has, I think, 3 of these. No, it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these different things of different size. You can have the 2 big ones, 3 medium ones, and then 3 small ones. So it doesn't really come with much. It's basically Moon Knight, the base, the swap on hands, and a few of these half moons or crescent moons. There's definitely a name for it. If you know it, please let me know in the comment section down below. So these are the actual blogger photos. What we're just looking at there, like this and all this stuff, they're like the promotional images. And from what I see, just my initial impressions is it looks like the blogger photos to me. Just it is notable that the mask, or not should I say the cowl, or the hood, yeah, the hood is not fabric. It stays like this. And I presume there's a little gap here, so when you turn his head left or right, you can actually articulate him just from the looks of things here. I think there's going to be a bit of bunching on the left elbow and the right elbow. I really haven't had that much of a look at this particular figure, or these particular release or blogger photos, because it's not a figure that I'm that interested in. In fact, I'm not interested in at all. Just basically Disney Plus. I have yet to rewatch a Disney Plus Marvel show, MCU show, whatever you want to call it, and I've yet to. I don't own any figures, and I haven't any figures on pre-order. I've yet to pre-order, buy, or own any of the figures from these shows. I just don't think these shows have that rewatchability. They just don't have the standard for me, unfortunately. But look, it's fortunate enough for my wallet. So I do think this looks pretty cool, though. I know this is not fabric. I believe that this here, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, I think the chest plate, it's not actually made of bandages. I think this is sculpted plastic. I do like the way you can see here is actual center. If you look kind of closely, but if you look in the center piece here, you can actually see a full moon and all the craters and dings and kind of damage and stuff like that from asteroids and stuff like that, or whatever, from the moon. I actually think that's quite cool, that kind of messed up surface of the moon. Of course, then you have the kind of crescent moon in gold around it, and all these markings here, and then of course you have these I presume sculpted plastic to make it look like bandages holding it on, and then some kind of different markings here. So again, in pure Hot Toys fashion, you have great attention to detail. I've definitely heard people say that they'd prefer if the hood was like fabric, but you know, from owning some Jedi hoods, you really have to mess with them a lot and a lot of futs and try and get them to look right. Have the Mando Luke one there, it actually sits quite well, but definitely a little bit of futzing required. The cable poncho is pretty good, and the Alec Guinness actually from A New Hope actually sits very well. There's actually a point to the top, and it's very, very screen accurate, but I think I've heard I believe is the Dark Side Anakin or the Qui-Gon Jinn, or there's definitely Jedi figures out there where the hoods do require a lot of futzing. So I can see why they went for the sculpted plastic on this. The eyes do light up, and I'm pretty sure it's an LED function. I just want to double check that for you, so I'm giving you the correct information. Where does it say it? Looking. Newly developed white light battery operated. Now you could get a fusion reactors. I've ordered fusion reactors for some different pieces. I'm done big into this summer. I really want to upgrade my display with some CCFL lightsabers and also some fusion reactors for some certain Iron Man and figures with light up functions. So I went away and ordered a I have the Mark 6 Iron Man and the Mark 1 War Machine, and they're actually lit up there. It's kind of hard to see from there, but they're lit up to the point where it's just like you get these little dummy batteries and they fit into the different compartments in the head and the arms and the back to light up the eyes and the chest and the repulsors in the hands. And actually they look great. They can just wire it in. I can just press one button and everything comes on. The lights, the Luke lights for DTOF and the fusion and any CCFLs I have. So I have ordered a few more CCFLs, but I have actually ordered some fusion reactors. One for the Battle Damage Mark 85, the full set, one for the Mark 47, one for the Cable Eye, and one for the Eye for the DX13. Really looking forward to that DX13. Very, very simple touch, but just be nice to elevate an already particularly good figure. A lot of people regard the DX13 as one of Hot Toys' finest or one of their best ever. I can see why that would have that label. It's definitely up there. It's a fantastic piece, but I think it'll be elevated by just that little splash of light on the light up eye because it's heavily battle damaged. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the DX13. We're here to take a look at this. My initial thoughts are it looks like the prototype. I did notice the gathering here on the left and the right. Now I'm not sure. I don't have this in hand. I suspect this isn't fabric, but I could be wrong in this. I haven't watched any unboxings or sideshows or any of that kind of stuff. Maybe it is fabric, but either way, you can definitely see some gathering here in the elbows. That's a common thing with a lot of Hot Toys figures and certain suits like that. I mean, just off the top of my head there, the Infinity War Iron Spider was notorious for gathering, but then when you put it into neutral pose for a few days, it tends to heal itself. Not always, but definitely it could heal itself. A lot of the Spider-Mans are like that. They have these joints and stuff like that. You put them in a dynamic pose, the creases develop, maybe even tears if it's there for that long. When you put them back to normal, provided it's not teared, a lot of the time it will fix itself. You might have to push the fabric and kind of massage the fabric with your hands to make sure it goes back to its neutral position. But this does look good. Again, not some that's a great shot. I love that. That base, I'm pretty sure. That base, I'm just looking up here. I've got the oil change Spider-Man from No Way Home, or what are they called? The battling version, because it wasn't fully battle damage. It wasn't torn to crap. Let's face it. I mean, in that scene, I think it was the integrated suit he was wearing when he fought the Green Goblin in No Way Home at the midway through the movie before, spoiler alert, before Aunt May died. But he was using the integrated suit, and that was heavily battle damaged at the end of it. But they released this battling version. It came with a diorama base. I'm just looking at here. It's the top of a rooftop type of thing, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're using here that Moon Knight is standing on. Thought this is a particularly good photo. I'm not sure is the cape wired. We're gonna have to check that again. The costume, see if there's grayish white colored cape equipped with bendable wire. So it is a wired cape. Okay, so if this is the stock cape, I think this looks pretty well. Sometimes I think things look good and other people say no, they don't look good at all, but I think this cape looks pretty good. Hot Toys aren't the best at their cape game. Case in point, I have a DX19 and I find that cape is actually quite good compared to the DX02 or the DX12. Bit of futzing required with the stock cape and all, but you can get it to look good. However, Alan, also known as the 6 Scale Gallery, he had a custom Jackson Jew cape he wasn't using. He sent it to me, and it does make the figure a lot better. It just drapes a lot more natural. It's the material itself, the cut, but also material itself drapes a lot nicer and doesn't gather up here as well. So that was my problem with the stock cape. You really have to manipulate it so that it's in between the neck and the shoulder, and it's kind of pressed down so it doesn't like pop up a bit, but it still did with the stock cape even. I see a lot of people trying to drape that cape, that stock cape that comes with the DX19 around the DX19, and that's really something you do with Batman Begins and a custom cape. It doesn't really work with the DX19 in my personal opinion, but this I love this particular shot. Like, I remember watching the first episode of Moon Knight, and I really liked Oscar Isaac's performance. That's another thing. This actually doesn't come with an Oscar Isaac head sculpt. He's a Hot Toys collector as well, like, and they didn't do a Poe Dameron, and they didn't do a head sculpt for this. I know there's a great third party one out there which is very impressive. I can't remember, was it So Toys or something? I remember being really impressed by a third party Oscar Isaac head sculpt that I saw recently. Yeah, I love this particular shot with the moon in the background, the cape, and even just a simple pose holding those two crescent moon darts. Are they crescent moon darts? There's definitely a name for that. It's bothering me, I can't remember. Interesting pose here. Yeah, like, I mean, this looks like the prototype to me. I remember people were speculating that it might look like a Marvel Legends if it's all plasticky, but I'm not really getting that vibe here. Like, I think this looks pretty cool. From remembering what the show, I only watched the show once and it was months ago now, but it looks like it did in the show. I think you kind of advance those fusion reactors. If you, I know you have to, you know, they're expensive, and then kind of putting it into the back of the head, and then you have to hide the wire. And then, like, if you, like me, I like to hide the wires, and I run the wires down behind the aluminium, the grey aluminium frames of the DTOF, because I want to hide those wires. It does involve a bit of a time investment, you know, a bit of a, I wouldn't say labor, but a time investment. You know, you have to put the wire, get your figure posed up, put the fusion reactors in, try to hide the wire, you know, out the back of a cape or up a sleeve or something like that, or whatever, down behind the material or something. And then you got to kind of cable tie it with grey cables, so it's a bit more camouflage against the aluminium metal rods, and then run it down behind. Then there's a bit of twisting involved. For me, it's worth it. It might take, you know, half an hour maybe, but it's just worth it. Every time I click in, I can just see, you know, just basically the light up function and appear with very little wire. Interesting though, I don't think this is going to fly off the shelves. I don't think the show was overall received well. There was definitely a few okay episodes there, but I remember it finished really badly. Those are they, what are they called, kaijus or something like that, or something? I've definitely messed it up. But they're big, tall avatar things that were fighting in Egypt. That really, and there was a lot of, I thought there was a lot of very forced dialogue there as well. But like, all in all, with all that being said, this looks good, and if you're a fan of the show, more power to you. And you know, I imagine you're going to be happy enough with this. Like, it looks good to me. That base there again, that's the second base they've used. Now this is not the battling version. This is the Thanos. Funny, I have the Thanos up there as well with that base. Such a versatile base, because it's not really specific to anything. I know it came with Thanos, but that could be anywhere. Just basically rock diorama. I've seen that. It's probably the most overused base, and I can see why. It's just generic rocks. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, look, this looks pretty good to me. Obviously, it's a pass for me. I think the blogger has done a good enough job here. What's that? Is that supposed to be like kind of inside of a tomb or something like that? Yeah, look, that's pretty much my thoughts on this. Looks good. Happy for those who want it. I presume this is one for the fans of the show, or the die-hard comic book fans who really like Moon Knight. I did go back and actually read some of the origin stories of Moon Knight with Jake Lockley and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, have it on the Marvel Unlimited app, and I find it quite an interesting character, so I would watch the second season. But yeah, this is going to be a pass to me. There's too much good stuff out there that I'd rather have instead of this. So yeah, can't have everything. Look, that's the end of the video. If you want to support the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Let me know if you're picking this up or not. You can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. That's it. That's the end of the video. See you in the next one. Good luck.